Aaron, what's good, baby?
Oh man, I'm doing great, and I'm so excited for this card.
That's what I like to
Like,
hear. So we can just go down the card one by one. But I just want to say I was super stoked that like everyone who I've reached out to participate in this, everyone is just
mhm.
like, "Yo, I'm down to do this. You want me to play a show match? That sounds hype as fuck." And I love that energy. It makes it so easy. Because look, we only book matches that we want to see, right? Like these are all matches we're like, huh, who do you want this? Who do you want to see that person play? Oh, this person. We look up the record and we're like, oh yeah, that's gonna be hype as fuck. So we can get started real quick. We got Carpool from Hell versus Team Seven, and I was super
Yeah,
stoked.
Council will decide.
this is the absolutely no bias
None at
start
all.
off.
None at all.
None at
Look,
all. None at all.
look, we're helping Jacket get his shit functional. All right, we're helping him troubleshoot
Hmm.
his internet and his PC just so we can get him in the mix. Right. Also,
Yeah,
Simo's asking for the
absolutely.
format for 3v3, and what we're gonna do is it's gonna be like a mix of the 10v10 and Pokemon style, right? So you start out, you blind both teams have to blind pick their first person, but we're not doing best of ones here because it's only a 3v3. So instead, we're going to give it the every player gets 2 lives, like in the 10v10. Right, so there is some stuff. Oh hell yeah, Charadine! You see that nepotism? That's what's up. I gotta make my wife look good, baby. Why do you think I do all this shit? Anyway, Carpool from Hell versus Team Seven. I'm hype as fuck for this. Carpool from Hell started as like a bunch of dudes who just rolled up to Caliburst. I actually don't have any idea if y'all knew each other before this, or if you just decided to carpool together. But they rolled up. They took top three at Caliburst in beginner bracket. Shit was hype as fuck, right? It was so okay,
Yeah,
cool. Friends from college camps, good, good, good. Um, but
yeah. I've seen those guys a couple times at WNF.
yeah. And they look, they've been putting in the work. They got a really interesting team comp, right? Because they got Charadine on Potemkin, they got Aetherbeat on Bikin, and they got Jacket on Raven, right? Super, super weird comp. Like the character selection is kind of all over the place, right? And like when you're looking at those characters, it's like we got a couple Bikins in NorCal, we got a couple Ravens, and we got a couple Potemkins, right?
Hmm.
But you like usually we only get to see those characters come in like kind of fully formed, right? Carpool from Hell, like they're still, they graduated from beginner bracket this year, right? So we get to see what this roster goes up against when they're like they have some chance to prepare, right? Normally, you don't get to see the best of a player in tournament because they're not prepared for whoever it is they're playing against, right? But now they got some homework to do. They just sit down and do that shit.
Yeah. So the cool thing about this is, Carpal from Hell is like 5 people, full car every single time. This is actually exactly that graduating class: Charadine, Aether, and Jacket. And this will be a lot of fun because, like you said, they've got a lot of matchup spread. Cheradine's pot has honestly come a very long way. I've been really impressed with his pot. Aetherbeat's always in the mix with Biken. You can never really sleep on Biken. And the my favorite thing about Jacket is Jacket teaches you that like Raven stance is something you got to deal with and learn to deal with ASAP
Yeah.
when you're fighting a Raven. So that's going to be something that I want to see. But, of course, on the other side, we have the Naruto team themselves, Team Seven, which I found funny because, I told Pat, I was like, it took me like a day or two to realize it's a Naruto reference. And and Starsky came back to us and he's like, guess who's who? And I was like, well, obviously Irene's Naruto. And then, Grace is her rival. So obviously that's Sasuke and you're probably
Yeah,
Sakura. And
Grace
you're
got
just
that
like,
Sasuke energy for sure.
yeah.
And
But
I love the name Team Seven. I had actually originally suggested the legendary Sannin, right? Densetsu no Sannin, but they were like,
mhm,
you know what? We gotta earn that. We gotta make our way out of beginner bracket before we take
that's
that name. It was
true.
like, that's what's up.
We're out of beginner
Yeah.
bracket.
Or out of intermediate, excuse me.
They got it. Yeah, they're intermediates now. So the classic team of just all 3 of these characters just go in, right?
Yep.
Like this is exactly what you want to see. The children of Pat the Flip, all GITA mains. Um, so it's gonna be incredibly interesting because all these characters, right? You're one knockdown away from death. Like you guess wrong and you're just dead. Like you're just like what just happened, man? Like
Yep.
so it's gonna be really good to see that. And player matchup wise, it's going to be crazy. We have no idea, right? It's all blind picks
Yeah.
and two lives. That's what makes it really scary, right?
Yep.
You could get the read on one person like, oh, I would have had that if I just stayed on, and you can't even stay on anymore. So it's like there's all these things where it's like, oh, I'll go in, and it's like you have no idea who the other person's going to be. So this is an amazing start to an amazing card.
The format is like, look, take it from someone who got washed horribly in the NorCal SoCal 10v10, right? Like the dynamics when you're playing in this kind of format is just different, right? Because you're looking at character matchups, but you're also looking at at hot streaks, right? You're trying to see like, oh, if the longer someone stays on the cab, and you see this in lobbies all the time, if you go on a run on the cab, it's easier to keep winning because the other people waiting their turn get cold. Right. Mm-hmm. So there are dynamics to this that aren't just about who's the stronger player or how does the character matchup go, which I'm super hyped to see, because like that's where the team strategy comes in. Right. Then that's not something you get to see in a tournament at all. So yeah, I'm super hyped for 3v3. I think it's going to be a great way to intro the rest of the fight card. It's going to get that hype started from the beginning. And like 3v3 is a really cool format. Like depending on how it goes, like we might be down to put together some more 3v3 matches in the future. There was a 3v3 tournament last year, a NorCal Dogfights 3v3 that went really well, and it brought out a lot of really cool things, including me, Bondrin, and Simo joining up. Hey Simo, if you want to start if you want to bring back the 3v3 team, now might be a good time to do it.
That was actually I just want to interject. That was actually this year because that was the one Lokson was at after Anime Ascension.
Oh shit, that's right.
Yeah, it's been that long.
Jesus Christ. All right, next matchup on the card, we got One Bin versus Senior Children.
The called out from our very first. We got the call out. Senior Children said he wants One Bin.
And I was cracking up because like so far after in the two show match series that we've run, when we've asked the winner like, hey, who do you want to fight next? They're not interested, right? They're like, people have been pretty reserved. No one's trying to call anyone out. They're just like, oh, like I'm just having fun playing or whatever, right? Which is nice. Senior Children's like, no, fuck that shit. Give me One Bin.
Exactly.
Right? One Bin in response gives us. The meme lord himself coming through with a October Caliburst classic. We got One Bin, aka Moons Over My Hamby, aka Kombucha Neti Pot, aka has a 0-0 tourney and win record in Uniclear, the only version that matters. Has never been to NCR. Admitted to being too small brained to main Milia. My man has 2 world records. Can't look at the Decanta character select without feeling nauseous.
What are the world records?
It's speedrun records. He has a record for speedrunning Guilty Gear. He got that like a month ago or something. Pretend Sin doesn't have corner loops, and Enlightened Lagoe main. I don't even know what that is. Senior Children out here. What was that? Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Senior What's Up Gamers Children. 7-2 tourney record in Eunice, the outdated, irrelevant version. Best NCR accomplishment is being in a photo with Daigo. That's pretty good. Oh, the dog suit, got it. No world records. And also admitted to being too small brained to main Milia. Yo, he was top 8 at Evo in Decanta too?
Yo.
Yes.
That's fucking sick. I didn't know that. Respect, Senior Children. That just made you the favorite as far as I'm concerned. Consistently drops corner on lines. And Filthy Goof custom main. Godlike. So godlike. So this one's gonna be interesting for a couple reasons. Not only are the memes coming out, right? But we don't do character lock when we do these show matches, which means that One Bin could conceivably play Sin or Biken. I don't know which matchup he prefers to play in that character. But Senior Children is undoubtedly one of our strongest Bikens, right? So there are a handful of Bikens that we got in NorCal, and Senior Children generally I think does him and Denim Daddy probably do the best in bracket as far as I can remember. But like I can tell you, playing against Senior Children, like he's got me a couple of times. I think actually, I showed up in one of his highlight reel. We got And Biken is a volatile matchup, right? So for the show matches, we play first to threes, which means that there's some room to allow things to settle for a little bit. But it's hard to pick up on Biken player habits, right? Especially if they're capable of varying them. The difference between a beginning Biken and an intermediate Biken is often that the intermediate Biken has started to learn to vary stuff like Azami patterns, Suzerain usage, gets better with tatami mat, stuff like that. And obviously, if you're looking for Biken practice at senior children's level, like not just any Biken will do, right? So on senior children's perspective, he has to prepare for potentially 2 matchups, right? Because we don't necessarily know which character Wonbin's going to pick. And one thing that actually that CT Warrior's been doing in tournament lately for the long sets is bringing out one of his side picks just to try and win a game or two, so that the opponent has fewer games to adapt to his secondary pick, right? So
yeah, so this one's gonna be funny because everything you just said is gonna go out the window. I know both of these guys; they're good friends of mine. And I think they're gonna meme. I 100% think they play all the time. I think this is gonna be a meme show match.
Tight,
and I love it. I'm waiting for senior children's response video to be a parody of that Scott Steiner math one. No pressure, buddy. But yeah, no, like. Wonbin is the absolute wild card because Wonbin is like a slowly developing CT Warrior. Like he's got Chip, he's got Sin, and he's been messing around with Kai. And like if he started the match off with Kai, I wouldn't be shocked, but I would be like, okay, this will be interesting. So yeah, it's all these matchups he has to prepare for. The hardest part about fighting Biken is the player matchup, not necessarily the character matchup, right? Because like you said, it's always scary when the Biking can just like change their habits and you don't know what their habit is. So you try it like the first time and you're like, okay, well maybe I'll do this next time. And then something happens and so on and so forth. So it's going to be an amazing set. But I'm expecting memes because I know both of these guys. So I'm expecting, I'm expecting wildness just from the start, so we'll see how this goes.
I'm hype as fuck, like, because when you go back that deep with somebody, you got all kinds of cards you can cash in, right? You know their play habits, right? Like,
yeah,
it's going to be a good one. Nothing is quite as fun as watching the homies slug it out in a first to 3. So, shouts to Wonbin and senior children. Definitely, if we get more promo cutting memes, definitely hit us up on it so I can make sure to blast it out to the world because this is fucking hilarious to me. Next up, Strobes versus Ghostier. Strobes obviously been making waves in intermediate. I think just made it out. Ghostier, yes. Like he's already played. He played a super solid exhibition match and beat Hello Mellow 2 months ago, right? And it was really cool to see it. I think that I want to say that was a tournament that he played in the intermediate bracket and then played his show match back to back, right?
Yeah, I believe he got top 3 at that.
Yeah, I think so. And it was really cool. So one of the reasons we do these show matches is because we want to see what happens when you give a player a goal, right? Like, again, tournament results, very hard to predict. You can't control for matchups. You can't really predict who you're going to be playing against, and so it's harder to prepare, right? But for the show matches, you get some time to collect data and to develop a game plan. And we definitely saw that when he played against Hello Mellow, right? There's a difference between the way he played that set and the way he played the tournament set, right? So I'm excited to see what we can bring out more in Ghostier because of preparation. But also, like, I'll be the first to tell you, I don't know how the Sin versus Milia matchup goes, but Sin got some big ass buttons and Milia crumples pretty quick when she runs into them, right? And Ghostier has shown that he can do the damage. Like, I played against him plenty of casuals, and whenever I play against him, it's like ice skating around a fucking bear or something like that, right? Like the moment that you get hit, all your health just goes out the window. And like, I'm playing Chip, obviously, so that's like doubly true, but Milia crumbles too, right? But Strobes has been doing that work, right? We see him putting in more and more Milia effort, right? Both him and Simo been consistently entering bracket, consistently putting in the work. And when we see Strobes come along, like his Millia just gets more fluid. His combos get more consistent. His setups get nastier and nastier and nastier. And the thing, I don't know if y'all been watching any of the recent net play Japanese tournaments. They ran a 1v1 and a 3v3 2 weeks ago. But when Millia is going, like, you can try and react, I guess, especially in net play. That's going to be hard. But in most cases, you're just along for the ride, right? Once she starts rolling, she just keeps rolling. And for long sets, I like that. I think that's pretty effective.
Yeah, so for this matchup, I know Ghostier's played Simo a few times, so it'll be interesting how he fights Strobes. But from what I can tell, I know Sin has one of the slowest wake up timings, so some of the Oki is more real on him than it would be against another character.
Yes, that's
it's the
right.
same with Chip, but like you said, it's Sin, right? You get touched and you're gonna explode. Like, it doesn't matter what character you are. And Ghostier's been at this for a while. I actually was rewatching NCR, the one that Smiles won, and Ghostier got top 8 at that. So that was
good
really
shit.
Good. Yeah. So
shouts to NCR champion Smiles.
NCR champion Smiles. We'll get him one of these days. He's been going to bracket again, but yeah. So it'll be interesting because Simo and Strobes, I feel like they play differently enough. So knowing the Millia matchup is really the key in this one. I think it's kind of a funny matchup because it's like both of these characters just like don't get hit, like whoever gets hit is gonna lose. You're either gonna get mixed to death or you're gonna explode, right? So this is gonna be interesting too because I know that this is one of the matchups that I was super excited about too because this is a matchup we kind of would only have in this kind of environment because Strobes is definitely one of our locals, GC all the time. Dogfight, WNF, but Ghostier is in Sacramento, so we'd see Ghostier all the time at Taggin, right? So you and I could play Ghostier if we wanted to, but Strobes doesn't go up there. So this is one of those opportunities net play provides us to see the greater NorCal scene, which is I think our card's done a really good job about that. We've been giving Sac a lot of love.
Yep. And speaking of Sac, the next match that we have on the card is
this one's
Nuclear Papaya versus CB Hash Oil, aka Giuliano, aka cousin of Simo. Recently returned to the bracket, started doing damage. The highest placing Elfelt in our bracket these days. So not only do we have a Ram versus Elfelt, we got a Valentine's match. But it's a Sacramento match, and these two know each other, right? Like, I'm guessing they've played a lot before.
Yeah. So, Giuliano is one of those secret. CB Hash Oil is one of those secret guys that like Adapt knows, right? Like, there's like this hidden I don't know if we'd call them the hidden kings of Sacramento, but there's some really good players. So he's one of them. Quit Rage is another one, and Dare is a really good one, and then we got one more. There's a really good biking player out there that. Hopefully we can get him one of these days. But
a mysterious biking.
Yeah, so we kind of were playing a lot of times at casuals, and the first tag in CB Hash Oil went to, he beat Quit Rage in grand finals. He reset the bracket and then he beat him. And Quit had been going on like this rage of just taking all these tournaments. Like the only one he didn't win was the one where Bear showed up. But so he's gone to maybe one or two, maybe 2 or 3 tag-ins, and he's won 2 at least. So the last time these two played in person, it was at a tag-in, and Giuliano won pretty convincingly.
Nice.
But
and to all y'all who have been sleeping on Tag-In, that's a tournament I'll show up on occasion. Bonjern shows up pretty regularly. You got Nuclear Papaya, you got Adapt, right? The homies come through for Tag-In, right? You won't see the entire Bay Area roll up, but the competition's legit, right? Winning Tag-In is not it's not free, right? You got good players showing up, and they'll definitely put in work to stop you from making it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sac's got a great scene out there, so I always love showing them some love. But this one's interesting. I don't want to go too much into it because I definitely know I know Nuclear Papaya is my roommate in college, and I know what his plans are, so I'm not gonna say it out loud because that'd be giving unfair advantage to the other one. But as an LFL player, I gotta say Giuliano plays one of the cleanest LFLs that I see. He's definitely one of the like unknown Elfelts. So it's been great to see him in tournaments again because next to CT, I think he's got arguably the best Elfelt in NorCal. Like,
Yeah. So wait, what does he do? What does he do differently as an LFL player?
so the thing about him, I feel like, is like I don't feel like when Giuliano loses, it's because he's kind of just doing, like people like to accuse LFL players of just doing the LFL things. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
very much like it's so strong that a lot of times you notice if you know how to fight LFL, like as an LFL man, I've noticed this. If you know what they're gonna do, they a lot of times they can't actually adapt to what happens next.
Right. Yeah.
So one of the things that I think is really good about him is he's really good about mixing his stuff up. He abuses IED Pine Hierarchy, which is incredibly scary. There's not a lot of things you can do against it. I think Blitz might be
Yeah, that's
really
just fucked
awesome,
up, man.
yeah, you can't throw it. It's a meaty, so like you can't throw it. It'll hit you if you mash a button. So like, I remember one time I was talking to Dare. He's like, "What am I supposed to do against this?" And like I'm like, "I don't know, dude." Like, and I think the one thing that Adapt always says about him is his reactions are ridiculous.
Mhm.
So like in the Ram matchup, one of the things that like you think theoretically Ram would have the advantages is like when she jumps and just jump H, right? You think Alpha can't really deal with that because she doesn't have a quote unquote real anti-air, right? Giuliano in that matchup just kind of deals with it like the May matchup where you just run into the character and just press close S. So you just dodge the H and you clip her. And then basically that matchup goes one way. It's if you get the knockdown, you're gonna win. So like you've already clipped like Ramithal and it's over, right? So like it's one of those things. I think and the other thing, the number one thing I think he's really good at is he's good at using raw bridle in places you don't expect.
Okay.
So
So yeah,
Bridle is
that's
very-
kind of interesting to me because like Nuclear Papaya, from what we've seen of him, he's like a pretty I would say he has a pretty wide understanding of how to play different Ram matchups, right? Like I've worked with him personally on the Chip matchup when we were preparing for Anime Ascension. We got to see him do some excellent work against Darius Potemkin in the show matches, the Caliburst show matches in August, right? Like I'll be honest, like I don't know Ram that well, but when I play against like random net play Rams or whatever, I'm used to like oh, you pressed a big button, you got the mid-screen confirm, now you got the the high-low in the corner, good job, right? I have never seen Ram players around here that play with like using the depth and breadth of Ram's tools, right? So I'm kind of excited to see, especially because like, again, not only have these two played a lot, but like you've played a decent amount with Nuclear Papaya too, right? So he shouldn't be any stranger to the LFL matchup. When I told him who he's going to play, he's just going to be like, oh boy. And you could tell it was because he's played this matchup a lot. He knows what he's getting into.
Right. Yeah. This one is going to be a really interesting one. So we'll see. I think this is probably the one I'm most conflicted on.
Yep. I mean, look, it's Sacramento versus Sacramento, so I can't blame you for being conflicted. But nothing says conflict better than some sweet ass matches. And I'm just gonna run back this match that CT and Popo Ring ran like 2 weeks ago.
Big swords. We can slow projectiles.
Oh shit! It's playing at 2x. That's how hype it was. Hold up, give me 1 second. There we go.
Battle of the Kings. Battle of the Hella.
I think yeah. This is like three or yeah. It's at the beginning of the month, right? This match is the reason why we're running it back. Afterwards, we're just like, yo, we got to see that again, bro.
The run back of a grand final. Yeah, this match was amazing too because it was coming off of that unbelievable grand finals that they ran right before we did the NorCal SoCal Caliburst.
That's right. Yeah, these two have a history of fantastic matches, right? And like, look, you got two Illyrian Kings slugging it out, right? CT plays. I would say he holds his cards close to his chest, right? He tends to play pretty conservatively. He takes risks. Don't get me wrong. He takes plenty of risks, but when he does it, it's calculated. It's to throw off your read.
That's right.
Right.
Speak your truth.
He's really good at calling you out. Like if you like. The worst thing you could ever do against CT Warrior is autopilot in a situation where you shouldn't.
Yeah, you have to be, and I can say this as someone who is, I think, career like 22-4 against, or 4-22, right? He's washed me more times than I care to count. There's a reason why I'm on most of his highlight reel in that trailer. you have to constantly be keeping track of every single decision he makes, because he's keeping track of the decisions you're making, right? And he will calibrate his risk profile to whatever level he sees you doing, right? If he sees you blocking too much, he's going to start throwing you more, right? And then if he sees you mashing on throw, well, then he's going to start doing like frame traps and stuff. And like, look, in this matchup, like Kai, from what I can tell, Kai tends to be able to be more reliably able to start his full screen bullshit, right? But we don't even know if he's going to play Kai. CT Warrior plays 3 characters. He's won Wednesday night fights, I'm sure, with all 3 characters he plays, right? So he plays Kai, Soul, Elfelt. He's even got a chip, right? So he is in perfect position to break out any of his picks just to drain a game or two off of Popo and force Popo to adapt to a character matchup.
Oh, nice throw.
Yeah, so it's great because I don't know how the Soul matchup goes, but I know the other 2 matchups are definitely Kai and Elfelt favored against Leo, but you know, Popering is like no other Leo we know, right? He plays some of the most patient, neutral, like he definitely is one of those guys that like it's so easy for him to just make you do one wrong thing and then you're just dead, right? Like it's so he utilizes Leo's like really grimy stuff, but it really is more just like he's gonna out neutral you, he's gonna out footsies you, he's gonna like just beat you in the most like just like you don't like I don't feel robbed when I play against him, like because I'm just like, well, you know, like he did the right things.
He's the only Leo player where I actually like whenever I lose to him, I feel like I was outplayed, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of an amazing thing to be able to do with a character, right? Like when you see the way he uses his tools, he's not I guess I would describe it as like he's not relying on Leo's tools to create opportunities, right? He relies on really solid defense, really thoughtful neutral, like patience, right? Really good pattern recognition to create those opportunities, and then pounces with Leo's tools, right?
Right. He's very consistent also with just like his conversions.
Yep.
How he puts you in a blender, like it's really scary. And you know, like Popering is one of our people that we couldn't always get out, right?
Yep.
Like, this is he's definitely one of those secret like stars of NorCal. And it's been great to see him in the net play because he is a net play warrior, right? Like that, like we're just watching the trade into death, basically. Like that was he's also really good at like I think the scariest thing usually when you're dealing with a Leo is you can kind of, as an outside observer, you can tell they're going to try to parry you in a place that just like breaks your soul, right? He doesn't really do that. He just goes for those like really burst safe routes that like he doesn't have to commit, right? Like he's losing nothing by doing that.
Yeah.
And that's what's really tough to deal with, right? Because he's like he's not gonna like I don't think I've ever seen him double parry either. So it's like he's not really like calling you out. Like the way he's gonna call you out is completely different. Like he's gonna call you out in neutral, not like in really scary strings. So this is going to be amazing. Like I think this one is probably going to go down to the last. It's going to go down to the wire. Like
I hope so. Like every time they play, it's a scrap, right? But also, one of the things that makes it hard to prepare for Popo Ring is you kind of never know when he's going to show up, right? Because he rolls up to a bracket, he washes his all, he usually gets like first or second place, depending on who else showed up, right? And then we kind of don't see him for a couple weeks or a month or 2 months or whatever because he's busy, he's got shit to do. And then he comes back and he runs it again, right? CT is here every week, right?
Yep.
So like CT has obviously shown the consistency, but he also has like a whole bunch of footage out there, right? It's pretty, it's not hard to find stuff showing how CT plays, right? So Popo Ring has all the resources necessary to do the homework. It's just not as hard to find Popo Ring unless you're like scouring online net play lobbies late at night, right?
Right.
But the other thing is we saw in CT versus Takeyanase versus Bonjern, aka NorCal #1 Best Venom, that CT will change things up significantly when he gets the chance to prepare. He really uses that opportunity, right? He did like 4 round start greed severs in a 1st to 3, and I swear to God, I've never seen him round start greed sever in my life, right?
Yeah. So like we've talked about, it's the preparation. So like we know Daemendo did a lot of prep with CT for that match, so it's going to be incredibly interesting to see what Potpourri's going to be able to do. And the other thing is, it's a 3 out of 5. I think most people believe a 2 out of 3 almost always favors Leo, right? But 3 out of 5, that's when you get these characters like CT plays a lot of those characters that can go the distance, right? Like Kai especially. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how this one goes. I think this is going to be an amazing set. It's a deliverer. It'll deliver. We'll see. But this is the one like I really wanted. This and the main event were the ones that I was like, no, we gotta do these two. Like,
look, when we were talking through like, oh, who should we get in this next fight card? We were talking about these matches, and I was like, is this too much? Like, should we save this for one of these for November, right? Because like this, I mean, look, CT and Takiyanase headlining the September card was amazing, right? And it felt wrong to me to put these two on like another co-main event, right? But I'll go ahead. We'll cut the replay here. Y'all should definitely watch the rest of this though. I'll go ahead and link it in chat. Here's the thing, right? The main event.
Oh yes.
Angry Black versus Pepsi is a privilege. There was no way that I couldn't set this up as the main event when we thought about it, because Angry Black is like, again, not an easy person to get a hold of. Usually can't enter Wednesday night fights. We see him not playing sometimes late in the evenings or on weekends or something like that. But he's not really about that net play life so much. And he's got his shit to do, right? So like when we get him at an event, we're like, oh sweet, cool. Josh is here. We get some good Johnny practice. He's gonna body all of us, right?
Yeah.
Pepsi's back from deployment. He's been fiending for Guilty Gear for like months, and now he's here and he gets a chance to practice, right? He gets to play again. And like, who do you prepare for Pepsi with, right? He's not just a Potemkin, he's like the NorCal Potemkin. Whenever I wonder like, oh man, how does a Potemkin play this matchup or how do you use these tools? I am in awe of Pepsi's ability to maximize all of Potemkin's tools, right? And it's not even just like, oh, I'm playing the best Potemkin I possibly can. This man thinks. He innovates, right? He's always labbing shit. Sometimes I saw him labbing plus R the other day, right? Like he plays Marvel 3 like just to fuck around with teams. Like this man is a, I don't know, he's a technician and a lab monster, and he loves this game, and you can never count him out, right? Johnny versus Potemkin, I don't know how that matchup goes. I'm assuming it's not great for Potemkin, but you can never count out Pepsi, right?
Yeah. So both of these guys are definitely, I think, of a similar mind. They are both students of the game. They like two of the most knowledgeable guys I know about the game. I almost put them up there with Demendo, right? Like the way they think about things is really smart. Like I love watching Josh's just like Johnny analysis stuff, and like this is one of those ones that like if you're not from NorCal, you probably don't know who these guys are, but when you're from NorCal, you're like, these are the guys, right? Like these are guys we got to watch out for, and these are guys we got to strive to be. Angry Black got top 5 at AA this year. Yep. That was great. NCR also top 8. Pepsi also top 8 at NCR. I think last year's Anime Ascension, Pepsi like had to play Hotashi first round, and he still got top 16. Like,
fuck.
It's one of those just like you know because they had no idea who he was, right?
Yep.
Like they were just like, who's some pop player, and then he just killed their brackets. Like, well, this is what you get for sleeping on our boy Pepsi, right? Like you did this to yourselves. Yeah. But yeah, I love it too because like there was a dog fight we went to where Pepsi was just like, yo Josh, let's play first to 5, and it went down to the wire 5-4. And like that's just the kind of stuff like we're basically just trying to like recreate that kind of feeling right now, right?
Oh yeah.
Like just random ones, you could just hear me yelling, screaming about Patreons, like so it was just
I want to say that might have been one of the first dogfights that I saw you at. I was just like, who the fuck is this dude yelling? Because it was that first to 5 happened like before the bracket, right?
Yeah.
I was just like, I remember thinking, why, how are these dudes getting so excited when the bracket didn't even start yet? And now I'm like, oh hell yeah, I'm hype as fuck. I will spend 3 hours in my Saturday afternoon just so I can run an event, just so I can see these two play. I'm hype as fuck for this shit. And like,
Yeah.
I don't even think we've talked Josh up enough, right? Like he's the NorCal Johnny, right?
Yep.
Consistently top 3 at NorCal dogfights, if not top 4, right? Has washed me ruthlessly in like every single tournament set we've ever played, right? And like, fuck it, man. Like, dude also just has like a normal ass life, right? He's got a job and a family and shit to take care of. And when he's not doing that shit, he's just fucking us up with one of the hardest characters to use in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, he in the highlight reel we saw Combat for a Cause. He just showed up. You know, it was so great to see him, and he just beat us all up.
Yeah.
He beat up all of us. He beat you up. He beat me up. He beat up Thunder, and it was, you know, and that's just how it goes, right? Like, he's definitely one of those guys that like you might see him on net play, like if you recognize his you know, his tag, but you know, you don't know who that guy is like outside of that, right? To us, we see him all the time, and he's just one of those guys that just like he's so. I just love the way like he plays the game. And I just love the way like he thinks about it, because like when he's on fire, it just feels like unbeatable, right? Like,
Yep.
So this is going to be so good to see. Like, he's definitely one of our best. And Pepsi on the other hand, on the other side, also one of our best. So this is just 2 of our best players.
Yep.
Just going at it, and I can't wait to see it.
And like, look, we run these Caliburst show matches, and like most people, if you're paying attention to the Guilty Gear scene, right, then you know like the high level players. You think of the Bay Area, and you think of Daemendo, you think of GC Yoshi, and you think of Bears. Right.
Yep.
That's like that's our Sunnin, right? Those are our big brothers. Yep. They're the ones that beat us up all the time, and they go off somewhere else and they beat up someone else's big brother, right?
Exactly.
But everyone you see in this Caliburst card, right, from the top to the bottom, everyone here is like, oh, you show up to a NorCal local, when we have locals again one day, hopefully. You got to get through all of these bodies first. And then maybe if you're lucky, you get a shot at the big boys, right? I'm hype as fuck for this card. Yeah. I had so much fun cutting this fucking trailer just because I kept on looking at all these moments. And I was just like, Jesus Christ, man. We see some good ass Guilty Gear. We just keep yelling, right? That's what we do. We're just yelling about Guilty Gear. So with that, Aaron, if you have any parting thoughts before I close up the call and open up the lab or the lobby, feel free to leave them with us.
You know, this is going to be a great card, and just in general, we always have great beginner and intermediate brackets. So
Thank you.
So if you're NorCal and you want to try this game out, you want to play this game, definitely sign up, because you could be in the card one day.
Hell yeah.
Too.
Yeah, so we started doing this because at first we did the beginner bracket. We're like, cool, we got a bunch of beginners. We got them playing Guilty Gear. That's what's up. And then we're like, oh, shit. We're graduating people, and they need something to do. Okay, cool. Let's make an intermediate bracket, right? Then we finish intermediate bracket, and we're like, well, what's after this? And now we got what's after this. So you want to see your sick-ass plays in a trailer somewhere? You want to see your name on a fight poster? It starts with beginner bracket, y'all. Caliburst, October 3rd. That's this Saturday. Bracket starts at 1 p.m. Let's fucking go. Aaron, thank you so much for the chat. Now I'm gonna let you go to sleep because I know you got work.
Yeah. I might play some gear. We'll see.
All right, that's what's up. Take it easy, homie.
Yeah, take it easy.